Okay, you guys. Now I'm going to do, this is again Cornell Law, and this is contract law. Okay. This is the discuss how do basic contract concepts relate to your situation. Okay. Discussion topic. What or aspects of the content in this first week of the course have you found most relevant to your own situation or a situation you may face in the future, and why? Okay, so I want to partner with various Fortune 500 companies with my nonprofit. Um, so I need to understand contract law a little bit better, I think. Um, because I want to know what I'm looking at. Plus, I want to make sure that I'm covering all of my risks and making sure that I can deliver on everything that I promised, because I don't want to get sued. I do not want to get sued. I have a very good uh, record, and I want to keep it just that way. Okay? Okay. So it says, in your posting, include the following. Identify the topic or topics in this module that are most relevant to your work or your interests, and briefly explain why they are relevant. Briefly summarize what you learned that you may not have known or understood before. I don't think I'm at that point. Okay. Describe one or more steps you could take individually, with colleagues, or with an attorney to make effective use of what you've learned. Feel free to respond in a manner that addresses any confidentiality concerns you may have. Okay, so keep everything anonymous. To participate in this discussion, in the discussion board below, click Add a Post to post your response. In addition, reply to one or more responses posted by others. If you have any general questions you'd like to raise or comments you'd like to share with others in this course, please post them in the general discussion board that you saw at the beginning of the course. Okay, I already posted there. If you're in Cornell Law, you'll see where I've posted on the discussion board um, to introduce myself. If you are also attending Cornell Law, please get in touch with me so maybe we can go and have coffee together or something. Okay? Let's be friends. Okay, so let's see. Discussion. Hmm. Okay. How do basic contract concept relate to situation? The contracts of business are really important, whether the business is small or big. I agree. There are 8 tips of business contract. I saw that too. And show the sample business contract are clearly useful and is always changing for economics. I think what I learned more was how to allocate in a contract for unknown situations, those risks that are unknown. Okay, so that's what I'm going to add to the discussion. Allocating for unknown risk factors. This content regarding risk allocation was very helpful, was insightful for me, because and what are you doing? Hey. Additionally, I understand that contracts are basically rules to govern a relationship. Ergo, if you are not great at relationships, you must study in depth contractual concepts with enthusiasm. This content regarding risk allocation was insightful for me. Risk allocation was insightful for me. Was insightful, I'll just put that. Additionally, contracts understanding understanding that contracts are rules to govern a relationship, ergo to govern relationships. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay? All right. There we have it. Let me see if there's anything. Contracts are a physical form of a relationship. That's what I think. How to write a relationship contract. 20+ relationship contract templates. Is a relationship a contract? You bet it is. In truth, the contract is a catalyst for a very honest conversation. Be real, honey. For business relationship boundaries. How about that? Understanding I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's my own personal thing. Y'all getting this tip, but I'm not gonna put it in the discussion board. That's the main thing that comes out in my mind is risk allocation and the relationship aspect. The tool, the 8 tips for business contracts. Okay. Determine what your goals are for the agreement. See, to me, that's a relationship. What are we doing here? What is the whole point of us being here? You know, it's so much in my life that I have done without a clear understanding from the very beginning of what it is that I was trying to do. Additionally, um, you know, knowing what I want out of a relationship. And when that does not happen, then changes need to be made. Then the contract needs not to be renewed, and I need to make a new contract someplace else that will get me to the destination that I'm trying to get to. Okay, that's where I am. Okay, research the facts surrounding the agreement, work out an agreement that supports your goals. What are you trying to do here? Okay, be careful in negotiations. Avoid making promises or representations during negotiations. Okay, avoid making promises or representations during negotiations or relying on those made by the other party. Like in a personal relationship, say you have a guy who says, "You're my wife." That's a representation during negotiations. Usually is normally they say that before marrying you, and it's a it's number one, it's a manipulation. Number two, it's a representation, or it is it's kind of like making you think as a woman that they are considering you as a wife, as wife material. So they call you that wifey, you know. That's a no-no. Uh, avoid making promises. Be careful in negotiations. Avoid making promises or representations during negotiations or relying on those made by the other party. Child, they need to be teaching this in junior high school, for real. Okay? Put it in writing. Not all agreements must be in writing to be enforceable. That's one thing I learned. Okay? Um, your question or idea. Oh man, do I have a question or an idea? I'm going to put idea, which is what I just said. The contract or the basics of contract law should be taught in every economics class. In every middle school. Okay. Um, Number 4, avoid unenforceable terms. Don't include illusory or ambiguous promises that cannot be enforced. Okay? Use plain language. Use clear, direct language to ensure that both parties understand that what they are agreeing to. Okay? If you must use technical terms, define them. Address contingencies. Try to identify all foreseeable contingencies and address them in the agreement. Cover the full scope. Make sure the contract captures the entire agreement. Don't rely on oral understandings that may lead to disputes. Eight, consider remedies. Include language that addresses possible breaches of the contract. A liquidated damages provision can avoid legal hassles by having the parties agree on a certain remedy ahead of time. Again, an if-then statement. If this happens, then we will do that. Okay, so I'm going to bold my idea. And, yeah. And I'm going to let's see, the document is called 8 Tips for Business Contracts. Cornell Law School. Cornell Law was actually founded in 1865, the year they abolished slavery. Did you know that? Huh? Did you know that? Okay. And submit. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on. Next. Okay. Okay, so this is the module wrap-up. The fundamentals of contracts. A basic knowledge of contracts and how they work is the first step to working effectively with legal counsel on your own business agreements. In this module, you looked at some core concepts and issues, such as when an agreement becomes a contract and how broken contracts can be addressed. You also had the opportunity to download 2 tools summarizing some basic information about contracts. You tested your knowledge with some contract terminology, and you were invited to join online discussions where participants share insights and ways of using the concepts you've been considering. Why, yes, that is what happened. Next up, overview of transactional agreements. Okay, I think I'm going to stop here. This is a good stopping point. So I finished that module. This is a glossary. I love vocabulary. Love, love, love vocabulary. So I will be back with that. I'm going to do a third one. I just love vocabulary, so of course I've just got to do that. And then I will be back. All right.